Contemporary art is a way to express feel made by modern artists. No. A new art style. No. Section of various issues within the current society that occur. So let's go back from the start. Since the 1900s, different art movements appeared, specifically Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Expressionism, Japanism, Fauvism, Cubism, Futurism, and Surrealism. This is under what we call modern art. It redefines, reinterprets, and defines the traditional styles of art. But since the end of the World War II, different and new art styles has emerged, such as pop art, minimalism, conceptual art, and performance art. These artworks, deviating itself from the visual beauty, have caused several critiques among varying groups. Instead of focusing on beauty and such, artists now are more interested on the ideas and meanings behind the art itself. This is what we call contemporary art. In the Philippines, contemporary art appeared after the World War II during the martial law era.
I proclaimed martial law.
Art then were used to protest against the government and to express people's resentments. As time passed by, contemporary art tries to unfold the question the flaws of Philippine society. It becomes an instrument for voicing out personal stand and expressing one's feelings. Varieties of style, element, and principle are to be considered in understanding contemporary art in the Philippines.
A way of understanding contemporary art is the way it connects to the Filipino condition, which translates to the idealism that the Philippines grow into a nation of individuals who keep deviating from one another.
This is Benedicto Cabrera, popularly known in his name contraction Ben Cab. He is one of the most well-known contemporary artists here in the Philippines, receiving both the Gawad CCP para sa Sining and National Artist Prefect in 2006. His artworks ranges from sculptures, illustrations, and paintings. One of the most iconic styles of Ben Cab is that of depictions of women.
My depiction illustrating women, whether they be nude, in layers of clothing, or a figure of a mother and a child, are the ones that transgress from my collection of pieces. Specifically, the inspiration of my famous pieces is Isabel, a scavenger lady who I observed from the window of our house in Bambang. She is a symbol of dislocation, despair, and isolation, the personification of human dignity of Filipinos threatened by circumstances. She became the landmark for every painting that I made. I mostly work with oil and acrylic paint, though my works also consist of photography and prints. I stick to the oil and acrylic because it is where my career truly flourished. Regarding the elements included in my pieces, I will say that the most prominent ones are the line, shape, value, and color of my artwork. Principles of art evident in my artworks are rhythm, proportion, gradation, harmony, and variety of the elements. Most of my artworks were asymmetric. The colors are contrasting to differentiate the people in my paintings. You can see that most of my pieces depicting Isabel is the way she embodies the emotions from just the general feel of the painting indicated in the artistic frame. This is Brown Brothers' burden. Similarly to the ones inspired by Isabel, it directly portrays the overarching difference of hierarchy of the oppressors from the oppressed.
For other pieces such as the Brown Brothers' Burden, Ben Cab does not deviate much from the inspirations he got from portraying Isabel, full of emotion, social hierarchy, and social identity. While some artists go back to the roots of social problems in the Philippines, some artists go for pieces which is indicative in urban landscapes, the internet, advertising, and the ever-rising trend of pop culture.
Primarily, I work with the idea of thinking about myself, and I make art to understand and misunderstand myself.
One of those artists is Mark Salvatus. The urban setting of Manila has been his influence and has been a source of his fascination for the longest time.
So through this art, I want to do something that can really define what is my life, and through the different kinds of ideas, it can create some kind of meanings that I exist and coexist with myself. For Art Fair Philippines 2016, I am mounting a project similar to something I've done before in Korea and the Singapore Biennial in 2010, tentatively called Constellation. The project requires exhibit goers to participate by tracing the coins they have on them on paper. The collected traces will then be installed in a wall that, like stars in the sky, will form a constellation of coins imprints when seen from a distance.
Using these sources for materials in Mark Salvatus' art projects have really translated well to the younger generations who really just wanted to appreciate art.
My art is heavily influenced by the urban landscape, the internet, advertising, and popular culture. I use these sources for materials for my art projects. I use a number of mediums in my interactive and participatory projects, including drawings, installations, photography, video, and street art.
Contemporary art has been very free-flowing, which resulted in very heavy critiques. It has transgressed from the limits of the canvas onto what we now call as technology.
My style is concerned with the actual process of conveyance, very much evident in the creative and informed utilization of technical elements in my installations and editing techniques applied to my work.
This is Mariano Manny Montelibano III. His works have been exhibited widespread in the Philippines, located in the National Museum of the Filipino People, Cultural Center of the Philippines, Metropolitan Museum of Manila, and other museums that present contemporary arts. His pieces often reveal unnoticed realities that was derived from local culture and with a little bit of social realism.
The rise of technology has been very evident throughout the past century. We have seen the development of the television screen and the radio. With this, the media also developed the means of broadcasting information to convey a face for politics. Some of my works are heavily focused on the concept of control. Sorry for the Inconvenience, last made 2011, which heavily portrayed the irony of broadcasting these powerful people and the lackluster messages they say to people. A strategy for control as absurd comfort. Another one of my works, which is also located at the same studio as the Sorry for the Inconvenience, concerns itself to the idea of technological control, the concept of the insignificance of the people being seen through their eyes of power.
As mentioned before, the free-flowing tendency of art has caused critiques. No! Many question if these types of work can be considered art.
My works can be considered as a contemporary art because it focuses on the psychology of contemporary socio-political, economic, and religious structures, which is done through video or intermedia installations that often exposes macroscopic realities through extracts of local culture with a flavor of social realism.
To further expand our knowledge towards this type of art, contemporary paintings and sculptures are displayed in museums such as the Museum of Contemporary Arts and Design and Metropolitan Museum of Manila. Here, There, Everywhere, Project Another Country is made by Alfredo and Isabel Aquilizan. It is located at the Museum of Contemporary Art and Design, housed within the stunning architecture of the College of St. Benilde's School of Design and Art. Balance is significant in the mini sculpture's cylindrical formation, a factor that gave the artwork harmony. It is considered as contemporary art because it portrays the social issue of corruption that resulted to poverty. In the Metropolitan Museum of Manila, an artwork made by Mr. Pablo Baen Santos entitled Boom na Boom can be seen. For this artwork, color and shape are the most dominant elements present in the artwork. Color and shape blends perfectly in this artwork. Value is also present. Light colors are present in the upper part of the art, and darker colors are surrounding it, giving a clearer vision of what is depicted in this scenario. Boom na Boom is considered as contemporary art because it is giving us a vision of the issues happening specifically to the ones who are below the poverty line. Another artwork was The Eternal Damnation, made by the Anting Anting artist group. Although the painting shows various objects, the painting remains perfectly in balance. No part of the painting has a heavier appearance. The different color mixtures complemented each other. The colors used in the painting were enough to depict the mood in the painting. It is considered as contemporary art because it depicts the sufferings and problems that the Filipino nation experienced in politics, religion, poverty, discrimination, abuse, and etc. This is Epilogo, a painting made by the Sanggawa artist group. It shows a good variety of shapes, colors, and sizes in the painting. Executing the gradual changes in shape, color, and light were smooth and pleasing to the eyes of the viewers. The emphasis and balance was made on the characters who were significant in the painting without making any part of the painting too heavy and too dark for the viewers. It can be considered as contemporary art because it depicts the Philippines' different problems in religion, politics, and the people itself. Not all contemporary art lies inside the museums. Each one of us can be an artist of our own contemporary art. The last artwork is the Cultural Center of the Philippines. It is designed by architect Leander Locsin. The building is symmetrical, and the gradation have a series of different sizes and shapes of the structures. It is considered as contemporary art because it attempts to promote and preserve the Filipino culture. It unites the cultural artists of the Philippines. Art in the past has been a symbol of our collective aspirations and desires. The emphasis on beauty and the perfections of form and technique stood for the values that were held in high regard then. Times have changed, however, and rather than fix our gazes on our manufactured ideals, we have learned to peer into the mundane and highlight everything from small observations of our day-to-day life to the ills of society. No longer does the collective determine what a piece or collection of art means. We are able and encouraged to participate in creation and consumption of art. No longer is art limited to conventional media or to lofty concepts. The either is our canvas, and no objects, not even religious symbols, are exempt from our attempt to brand our strife and struggle onto everything we touch. Art is sacred now not because of our fearful regard of an artist's brilliance and of the vagaries they preach, but because the themes we draw from mirror subjects we all empathize with on a personal level. This democratization of art and the contemporary movement even encourages participation from its consumers, taking as much meaning from authorial intent and as from viewer input. Contemporary art requires our heads, hearts, and hands, as we are encouraged to take the artist's viewpoints and contribute to or challenge it. Contemporary art becomes a conversation. It is a discourse on the canvas, and art in our discussion. It was said by Cesar A. Cruz in 1997 that art must comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. The contemporary art movement does this paradoxically. In its attempt to bring into light the ugly struggles that permeate our lives, the grit and despair are suddenly thrust into our view, often in awe-inspiring and beautiful compositions. It is in this disruption of our routine and comfort that we realize how a lot of our notions of conventional beauty comes at the expense of the Sibels and brown brothers of our world. Indeed, while their struggles and sentiments comfort us in the fact that we are not alone in our struggles, we must also learn to be disturbed by the beauty they present and to be mindful of the small things we label as inconveniences. Art liberates us from the restraints of our individual privilege and insignificance, our willful ignorance and the limitations of our knowledge, and the censorship of our authorities. Contemporary art is our voice, our collective presence on canvas. It is a call to consciousness and a cry against control and indifference around us.